Wait, what? No! Hey, guys, it's April Schluter from the Cheerful Mind, and boy, do I have a story for you. Welcome, but before I start, welcome to the very first installment of Cheerful Conversations with me, April Schluter, and with a whole bunch of other people in the future. But I wanted to take this first episode to kind of give you this explanation of what Cheerful Conversations is, what am I doing, why am I doing this, who is this show for, what's the point? And basically, as you all know, I am a coach, happiness and productivity focused. I help people accomplish their dreams and goals. I help them come up with different ways and more innovative ways to have more fun while they're doing all the crazy busy things that are on their plate, or help them step into this big goal that they just have so much fear, or they just want that support to be able to do it on their own. So about a year ago, I published a book called Finding Success and Balance, My Journey to the Cheerful Mind. It's in my back video right there. And when I went through that process and I published, I was the happiest person. And then about 3 weeks after, when all of the craziness and all the excitement died, I realized how much time I had put into this book. I'm like, my mind is laser focused on my show. But I published this book, and then I was like, wait, now what do I do? I don't know what's next. Do I write another book? How do I take myself to the next level now? Because I've just spent so much time and energy getting myself to this place, and now it's done. And I don't know if you're similar to me, but when you accomplish a goal, there's this almost this mourning of all this effort that you put into it, and now it's over, and now you just have to start over again, because goals don't end. It's always you complete one thing and then you start another. And I just feel like life is like that, right? You do one thing, and then you do another thing, and then you do another thing, and then you do another thing, and it just doesn't stop. So a few months later, after I kind of mourned my hard work on this book and tried to figure out what my next steps were, I went back to my 8th grade. It might be 8th grade or high school. I'm not quite sure. But I went back to my 8th grade roots. Let's just assume that was it. And I said, all right, back in the day, I had this aspiration to become 1, a model, or 2, a journalist. When I was in high school, I did news writing and news editing. I realized that I didn't like writing and reading, and that I was way more into math and science. So that dream kind of got poo-pooed really fast. But I think that there was this thing about me wanting to be some sort of news anchor when I grew up, but I just didn't take the steps to go there. And so I was thinking about this idea of creating this show, or just, basically figuring out, I wonder if I could relive that dream and create this show that could just be my thing, that has all the content that I care about and that I'd want to push into the world. But I didn't want to do it, because I just assumed that I would have to go and pitch to companies or networks, and I don't know. My mind totally went there. But I decided that I wanted to try to see if I could make this show work just in a different setting, because what I notice about myself is that I always can get myself to the end goal, but the journey that I take to get there is just not what I initially have envisioned in my mind. The way that I published my book was not the way that I think most people advise to publish a book. I did defer to experts. So it wasn't like I did it completely blindly, but the way that I've kind of been promoting my book and getting my name out there is just not what all experts tell you to do, just because I'm a rebel like that and I don't want to do that. So kind of taking this idea of how can I create this show, the second kind of thought that I had was, what's my mission in life? And a few years ago when I started the Cheerful Mind, I thought, all right, I want to instill more positivity in people because, back in the day, I was like this hot, like diva of a mess. Everything was a big, big deal. And when it wasn't just right, I would just stop and I would basically throw my hands up and go into victim mode and say, like I suck, like I could never do anything. I'm not good for anything. I'm just a horrible, horrible person. And it's not true, right? And I think we all do that to ourselves. So I decided that I wanted to create a show that would instill happiness in people. And as 2017 moved on with a lot of, a political heat that was happening and a lot of just negativity that was always a part of a part of pop culture, right? People crave drama, people crave scandal, people crave just these things that we just don't talk about. And I get it. It's totally fine. But I think I stopped watching the news back in 2008 because it was just depressing and it's just gotten worse. And now it's on social media and there's all this hate and there's all this negativity. And I thought, you know what, if I was going to do a show, I would want to do it where it's all cheerfulness. It's all happy. It's all stuff that would make people want to smile. Why don't I go and find out where the positive news is hiding in the internet or just out in real life? How do I find this sense of positivity that our world is craving, but we can't find because we're so directed by society and everything that the media puts out there? And not to say that the media is bad, because I don't think they are. They're just giving us what we want. But I know that I want to see more positivity, and I don't know how that was going to happen. So I'm trying to take a stand to make that happen. Enter Cheerful Conversations. So before I talk a little bit about what you might want to expect when watching this show, because this is the first show, you're probably like, what is this chick doing? Who is this chick? I want to give you a sense of, what I stand for and what my values are and why I'm doing this. So, and when you see me looking to the side, I've got my fancy little screens. I'm totally winging all of this 100%. This is not going to be a high production show, maybe down the road, but you're seeing me from like ground zero right now. But I have a screen that I'm looking at here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this show. This is going to be something that I know that I can't do alone. So there's going to be a lot of collaboration. There's going to be a lot of positivity. And this is my attempt to bring more happiness into your life because nobody else is doing it. I also want to say that this isn't an excuse to like ignore the fact that there is negativity out in the world. I know that life isn't perfect, and even if I'm bringing this cheerful stature to the show and just to life, I do encounter my own problems and my own issues, and I don't want to just kind of sweep that stuff under the rug. So that's not what I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to give you guys an outlet to laugh and have fun and to just be inspired to be yourself and do your thing. So I also want to say that there's this idea of, and I'm trying to get things out in the open right now. I've talked a lot about the fact that there's a lot of judgment in the world, right? And a lot of that can be seen as negative. So I obviously don't want to do anything that might hurt people's feelings in this show, but I also know that I don't think like every single human being in the world. And if I were to kind of skirt around certain things just to please people, I won't get my message out. And that's a huge thing that I'm working on this year, is to just be seen and just be visible. So I am not creating this show to potentially offend anybody. There is going to be some humor, and by nature, humor just tends to make fun of certain things that are truth in real life. And so I want to put that disclaimer out that I'm not here to make people feel bad. And there might be things that are said on this show that might contradict with your beliefs, might even contradict with my beliefs. And I want to have a conversation around that, because there's always going to be some sort of positive spin that comes out of anything that causes conflict. So even if this is Cheerful Conversations, I don't even know, because I don't know what's lying ahead of me, but there may be this opportunity where I might get into it with my co-host or anybody I have on the show, and just to have the conversation and be able to be open about what might come. So I want to obviously encourage positive communication and positive judgment, but sometimes, I can't please everybody. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there before I start talking about what this show is going to entail and what you might expect in the coming future. So this show, after thinking about it for months, is going to be something that I want to do at least live. And you're seeing this video not live, and I'll explain that story a little bit later. But the reason that I wanted to do it live is that I am a perfectionist, and I have a tendency to try to make things look just perfect, and it wastes a lot of my time, and I want to be authentic and real. So what you'll see is a show that will be live in some format, either just a one-take video or a live show on Facebook. And I will also post this on YouTube, and I will do it twice a month. I have it scheduled at 3 p.m. Central, the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. And I know that there might be certain things where I might not be able to be live, just because I might be on a trip or something is happening at that time. But as much as possible, I will be giving you the show on those dates. As I was mentioning a while ago, raw, real vulnerability is what I'm all about. Here's the thing. I could have orchestrated this show and made it super perfect and absolutely like hit the ground running, and people be like, wow. But that's not real life. And so I even yesterday on my personal Facebook page had this freak out moment where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't write an outline. I'll even just show you what I have written down for this show. But I have also been doing a lot of improv. I'm a student at IO Theater here in Chicago, where many people who have moved on to SNL and various shows or late night talk show hosts, they've all been at this school, and I'm learning to be a little bit more in the moment. And so I wanted to do this completely live because I want you guys to see what actually happens to make something amazing. And a lot of the things that I've done in my life, I've worked really, really hard, and people think that I just get it easy, but I don't. I have my struggles. And so I almost want you to see this show as I struggle through, and hopefully like a year from now, when I've done 24 episodes, it will look way, way better than what you're seeing right now. But I want you to see the transformation. I want you to see the process, because life is all about growth and taking your time, being in the moment, and taking one step at a time. So I want you to be on this journey with me, to watch my epic fails, watch me stutter and say and all the things that I suck at, talking super fast and not necessarily being clean cut and perfect. But I want you to watch this journey and watch me grow as I do this show. And all I'm doing is just committing to 2 shows a month and seeing how things progress. So if you're looking for like a high quality show, this is not the one that you want to watch. But I also want to share more stuff that's funny. So I've always thought that I was funny on my own, but I also think that I have this like weird sense of humor. So this is my creative outlet to be funny, to do some things that maybe are against the grain, to test certain things out, but also doing it in a cheerful way. So you'll get to see me test out some theories and different sketches, skits, whatever is coming. I honestly literally don't know. Positivity, I've already talked about, is one of the things that you can expect from the show. Again, I don't want you to think that there won't be conflict on this show. There probably will, but we're all going to laugh about it and give each other virtual hugs when it's all over. I want you to be able to interact with the show as much as possible too, because I can't do this show alone. So if there's something that you see, either when I'm doing it on a Facebook Live, or if you're watching this on YouTube, post comments, share whatever perspectives come your way. This is your forum to help me mold the show into what it should be. Here's one more thing that you can expect on the show, and that is no pitching. I don't want this to be an advertisement show, unless like down the road I can actually get people to advertise on the show. I don't know how that works. I really don't even know half of the video rules. This is all stuff that I have to still figure out. But I don't want this to be a show where people are, shamelessly trying to promote themselves. It is all about having real, true conversations. And of course, like, I might have people on the show who have a business, and I will obviously let you know that, and I want you to be able to connect with the people that I bring on to the show. But this is not a forum for people to promote themselves and their businesses, and most of the time I don't think that I will really be promoting my business offerings. But this is just something, this is seriously just an outlet for fun, positivity, laughs, information, and all that. I also will be sharing stuff from other people. So I might promote other people and they might not even know about it. So that might be certain things, but this is just as a resource to you. I'm not going to try to make any money off of this unless that it becomes an opportunity down the road. But if I do that, then I want it to be in the right way. So who should watch this show? I kind of want to say everybody, but I also know that people who tend to be, Debbie Downers and get turned off by people who are positive, might not like this show. So I will leave that to your interpretation. But I think that people who watch the show are people who have similar struggles that I do, right? And I think that that's the same for my clients. Not that some of them are like deep struggles, but just anything that you can resonate that I go through on a daily basis. I mentioned that I was a perfectionist. People who care about productivity, who struggle maybe with time management. Like, I'm pretty good at time management, but I also know I've been working on it for a really, really long time. People who tend to like to have different multiple passions. So this idea of multi-potentialite, which is something I mentioned in my book, that if you know Emily Wapnick, she did a TED Talk about being a multi-potentialite and just having a lot of different interests. This is, I am like an engineering tech nerd who loves playing with like stuff that you need to build. At the same time, I like to be creative in theater and do theater and sing and do stuff like that. So this is literally, like, I've probably said this like 50,000 times already. This is my creative outlet to share my gifts with you. But anybody who's looking to spread more positivity in the world, I'd even, want you to be on my show. No matter like what you're doing in life, I want to have these conversations and have them, and share them with the world. So anybody who's just looking for that like little bump or that little source of energy, or wants to see somebody make mistakes and be totally real with you, this is the show for you. How you can contribute. This is, as I was saying, you can tell that I'm not really organized here, right? There's so many different ways that I want you guys to contribute. Obviously, I've already mentioned like doing likes and comments, whether it be posted on Facebook or YouTube or on my website. I'll just probably post this as a blog post as like a third. as a third way to see it, just in case. But just letting me know that you're seeing this and that what I'm doing resonates with you, or maybe it doesn't resonate with you and you want to have a conversation about it. I'm totally down for anything, but engage with me. I want to connect with you. I'm a very like personal touch type of person. I obviously have a very busy life, but I always love to give attention to people who want to connect with me, because that's what life is all about for me. You can obviously also email me. My email address is April, APRYL, at thecheerfulmind.com. Anything that you want to share, any thoughts, any support you need on anything, just reach out. I'm only one email away. Okay. I also, if you like this show, you can join. I actually created a Facebook group. I have no idea if this is going to even work, but I will just keep it up and running for anybody that wants to join. If you're a friend of mine who knows me and just wants to support me on this journey, or if you are somebody who is a soon-to-be influencer, in your life and want to contribute to this amazing show because you care about happiness and productivity, join this Facebook group. I will put all of this information in the comments or the description of this show, but just being able to join the group and see some of the back end of what's happening on this show as it goes. I'd love to have you join me. If you go on Facebook, it's called Cheerful Conversations Contributors. I will, and it'll be available on my site for you to check out if you want to join. And finally, if you want to be a guest on my show, either by being a co-host, because I would love to have somebody be here with me on this show that I can banter back and forth with. I would love to have any of you, even if you're just a friend of mine, or even you've just been following me for a while and you are absolutely terrified to be on a show but want to. You don't have to have any sort of celebrity. You don't have to have anything. Like, we are all people, and we all have our amazing gifts. And so I want you to feel inspired to join me on this show if you want, and we can talk about how to plan for it and what we can bring to the table for our show. So I will share all of this information on how you can play a part, but there's going to also be all of these. I'm going to do some fun comedy bits, or attempt to comedy bits. I have a ton of people who are in my improv classes who, like, I wish, like, I'm going to ask them if they want to do some sort of 2-person random improv scenes just for fun. And then just as a fun outlet to do this conversation. But this whole show is going to be a whole bunch of improv, because life just happens, and I just want to see what it feels like to not have a plan other than just committing to be here with you. So one of the things that I wanted to share as part of this show, just to kind of kick things off, is I'm a productivity geek. I talk a lot about what types of strategies you can employ to be more productive. And I wanted to share a little bit of a snippet with you on my winter break, because, it's a new year. I had a really wild and really successful 2017, but I also wanted to live my winter break with my family to the fullest. So I wanted to just share some snippets with you. Okay, so here's the next little segment that I wanted to share with you. Now that I've kind of gotten all of the intro stuff out of the way, is my first little bit that I wanted to share, which I think I'm going to title, I'm going to call it camera roll. If you have an iPhone, obviously, or if you have any phone, obviously you take so many pictures now because everything is electronic. And I know that all of you know that we're in this new year. We're all back to being productive, but I wanted to know how productive your holiday was. And I was trying to figure out how to explain what I did over my break, but I figured it would be fun to do it in pictures. So I pulled 10 random things, videos or pictures from my camera roll that I want to share with you today. So give me a second to share my screen. So number one is I won my fantasy football team, my fantasy football league. I've been in this league for 15 years and I won. I was in so much shock. I don't know if you guys know. So I think I won based off of the Oakland Philly game. And Michael Crabtree was my one opponent that was left to play. I was up by this score and I was freaking out because I figured, okay, Michael Crabtree has to just touch the ball and I lose. And he did not touch the ball the entire game. It was amazing. It was epic. Let's see what else. All right, this photo that you see, it's a little bit far, but I spent some time in Michigan with my brother-in-law, his wife, and their kids, so my nieces, and they have this amazing house on like a little hill up in Petoskey, and you can see Lake Michigan, and it snowed a ton the day after the morning that we got there, or the morning after we got there, and so we got to do some sledding throughout the day. This was a very frequent thing that I did over the break, which was just sleep. Any chance that I got to sleep, I totally did. And that's just me hanging out on the couch and curled up because I am always forever cold. This is another, let's see if we can get this going. This is another sleep photo. I had just woken up and my kids woke up and they wanted to cuddle with me, but like spending time with my boys was such a huge fun thing to do with them. And they took a picture while I was sleeping, or I took a picture while I was sleeping. And they decided to make faces instead of pretend. Here's another photo of us at an arcade. My husband has taken a liking to bowling lately, and while he was bowling, but he's actually in the background just on his cell phone or whatever, but we have been bowling almost weekly, sometimes more than weekly, and one of the places that we go has an arcade, so we were just playing around and doing one of the games, or it was like a ride, like a virtual ride. Going back to, these are not in any particular order, but going back to the sledding and being in Michigan. So I totally bit it hard with, I was doing sledding. I actually had Ryan on the sled with me, and there's this big hill that we were going down. And when we were doing the sledding, the snowplow guy came to clear the driveway. And so I was riding it with Ryan, my youngest son, and we're hitting the wall, but you can kind of see, I don't know who that is. That might be Tim in the back, where he's looking, or I don't know if he's like digging a hole or whatever, but we hit a little patch and the driveway was completely cleared of snow and we kind of fell off and I fell over. So that's me looking like crap. Had definitely some bad bruises. This was just a photo that I randomly took of my dog Oliver, who is turning 12 this year, and this is him enjoying me trying to get him dressed with this tiny little elf hat or whatever. He looks like he's loving it, doesn't he? And then we also went skiing for the first time in the year when we were up in Michigan. So those were some fun photos to share. And this is a video that I wanted to share on my camera roll because I think it's really, really funny. But I don't know what people are going to think of this, but it's totally okay. So I'm going to bring this over really quick and shut this down. But here is this is my son, Ryan. This is just a random day. And we just got all of those like Amazon Alexas or whatever. We use the word Echo, but we were asking, this is one of the songs that they asked to play. So I don't know if you can hear it, and I'm also afraid to have you hear the music a little bit because I might actually, I don't want this to get taken down or anything, but yeah, maybe I should turn it down. Yeah, let me just turn it down. So here's a video of my son dancing to the song Bubble Butt. I don't even know who sings it. I think that like, yeah, he just ended up really liking the song, and we would just say like, Echo, play Bubble Butt, and he would totally do that. So that's my camera roll for you, and let's move on to the next thing. All right, and now we're going to move on to my next little bit, which is wanting to make sure that we share positive news stories. So I have been kind of scouring the web, and actually with the help from a website that I want to make sure to point out to all of you, which I think is really, really great. But trying to figure out where those positive news stories are in the world. So I have been doing some research, and I found thanks to, actually, let me tell you about this website that I know about. And I know this through my contacts at World Domination Summit. When I was actually there last year, there was this guy who started this newspaper that's called the Good Newspaper, and this is the website. It's like goodgoodgood.co. They basically had the idea, but it's in print form, and so I want to just promote them right now to just share. This is a mailing list that I just recently joined. If you want positive news stories, they give you like 5 stories into your inbox every Tuesday, and it's just a refreshing way to see some of the good that's happening in the world. So they had an email that went out yesterday, and some of the stories that they shared, let me show you some of these things. So this is, if you want to join them, this is a good newsletter that you can join. The Good Newspaper comes out every quarter, and they're sharing stories of people and ideas and movements that are changing the world for the better. This is just awesome. So here's one of the stories that I found, and I saw this like trending on Facebook at one point. But look at this. So North and South Korea. I know that there's, I actually, because I haven't been watching the news lately, I don't really know much of what's going on with anything, but I know that there's definitely this conflict between North and South Korea. It's like North Korea is like I don't even want to say bad things right now, but there was definitely, it's just a little bit more controlled on the North Korea side, and South Korea is a little bit more, I want to say normal, but is that bad to say? So this article that I found that's on CNN, or that this newsletter has shown that like they're actually talking. Like, how amazing is that communication is starting to happen? And I talk about this all the time, about how communication is so important, and sometimes you need the conflict in order to get to that resolution when you're communicating. But the whole point is that there's communication now, and I don't know where this is going or what this means. I think there was an update on when you go down through this article. But I think there was an update that I saw. Oh, I think it was in the newsletter that like they're talking, and I think that North Korea is going to be represented at the Olympics. So, wow, like lots of moves in a positive way. This is one news story that I saw that was definitely a great positive story. This is another one that the Good newsletter shared, is this idea of the cancer death rate dropping. And maybe it's only just by a little bit, but this is a huge move towards, this thing that plagues so many of our lives in our families and people we know and love. And there hasn't really been a cure, and not that there is one yet, for all the many different types of cancers that are out there, but we're making strides, and the death rate for cancer is going down. Now, also know that there might be other backstories that are happening here that the statistic might not might be hiding, but I will take it. I will take that as positive news. All right. I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump and like our president, but this was another story that they shared that Donald Trump did, and proclaiming January 2018 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. I know that there's a lot of stuff that people are really just not happy that he's done, and I don't necessarily think that he is the nicest person, unfortunately. And I feel like I'm one of those people that just like wants to pick his brain. Like, why do you have to lead with such anger? Why do you have to be so defensive all the time? Why does it have to be this way? But I know that behind every person is a heart, and he's a human just like all of us and has feelings too. He might not express himself in the way that many of us would like to see him, especially as a leader in our country. But I know that he has, he's taken on this thing, and there are people who do support what he's doing. And I think that he will have, even if it's not 100% always the best received by many, I think that this time in our lives and having him as president is going to open us up to to other opportunities. Who knows who's going to be president next, and what are the big learnings that we do have from him being president. So just wanted to share that. So those are 3 news stories that I wanted to share as a way to just kind of start the conversation of looking for positive news instead of trying to go to these stories. I can't even tell you, when I started to try to look for positive news stories and just kind of seeing what was trending on Facebook, even, it was like so-and-so died and like house fires. And I know that there's all this crazy stuff that's going on with just even our climate today. But just, people losing their houses and having to evacuate. Like, there's just a lot of craziness that's going on. And as I was saying before, this is not to say that we should ignore that stuff, but we have to start thinking more positively in this world, because I could go into this crazy whole law of attraction thing, but I never used to believe some of that stuff, because I just soaked in whatever was surrounding me and just kind of dealt with. And that's kind of how it is, I feel like, in Chicago. Maybe I'm just blind because I'm in a little bubble here in my house in the north suburbs. But I just feel like there are people out there who are trying to push positivity, but our society just tends to go negative. And as long as we continue the cycle, we're going to be a negative society, and we're not going to be able to turn things around. So the one thing that I would like to leave you with as I start to wrap up this show is to think about how you're showing up in the world. If you're craving more positivity, I want you to think about how you can actually make that happen, because it really, really starts with you. And this is my attempt. I think a lot of times, I didn't even tell you about this crazy show, like, issue that I dealt with here. This is how everything has totally just kind of thrown me for a loop today. But let me just finish my thought, and then I'll go back into that story. This is the cliffhanger of why I am posting my first show this way. But a few years ago, or even, just my entire life, I was like the biggest complainer. And for those of you that have been following me for a long time know that I've been saying this over and over and over again, but listen up. Like, this, I used to be so negative. And when I tell you this story, you're going to be shocked at how I reacted. But I was one of those people who just nothing, like the littlest thing just didn't go right, and my world was over. And why does it have to be that way? And when I left my job a few years ago and started this business, I was like, all right, I don't like this aspect of myself. I don't like the way that I'm showing up in the world. So I need to change that. And I started trying to think more positively as I started even investigating tools like practicing gratitude or just doing nice things for people and reframing my views on being of service and giving to people and doing it selflessly. My life has transformed so much, to the point where, like, I can't even look at things negatively anymore, because there's always a positive spin on this. So let me get into this story now. So at the beginning of the show, you saw me kind of like looking at my computer and being like, no, that was all an act. That was not improv, and that was not live, and that was not real. But here's what happened. 12:30, I was multitasking, which, story for another day. You don't want to be multitasking while you're doing anything, because you might get into places where you make mistakes like I did today, like I'm just about to tell you. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who we were just kind of talking about, like, being in hiding and not sharing our gifts. And both of us are really interested in singing. And I shared a video that I haven't shared with anyone else of me singing a Sam Smith song in a hotel bathroom and just belting it out because the acoustics were amazing. And this was actually a video from a couple years ago. And I actually thought it was pretty good, but I just don't like sharing stuff about myself. And this was my attempt to be a little bit more seen. So after I posted it and shared it with just him, I was like, okay, now that I've shared it with one person, like I might as well share it openly, but I wonder if Facebook would let me post it because it's me singing, but there's a song, like there's a track playing in the background, and maybe it'll block me. So I have a Facebook group that I'm in by myself. It's a Facebook group I used to manage, and I was just like trying some things out, posted the video. They came back and said, nope, this is inappropriate content, please take it down. So I took it down. Then I went to my program, and this is why this video is totally scattered, because I had this whole, like I had been orchestrating and like trying to plan how I was going to run this show nice and smooth and do it live so that it didn't seem like a hot mess. But now it's probably a hot mess the way that I'm going to splice this together. But so I use this program called Ecamm Live to post live videos so that I can, switch back and forth between sharing screens and doing all this stuff and having guests also join in on the call or in on the show or any video that I do. And it was telling me that I was blocked from doing live videos. So I'm sitting here, they're like, try to check the community forums to understand what you did wrong and all this stuff. And I know I know what I did wrong. And what was, funny is that nobody saw this video, but apparently, because, Facebook is so great at communicating stuff to people and the changes that they make. I did not realize that it was going to prevent me from doing my live video, which 2.5 hours before the show was supposed to go live, I'm sitting here like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And I would say that the old me would just immediately start having a meltdown and feeling like a failure because I have been somewhat silently promoting the show for the last month. But still, people know, and I had that freak out video that I put on my personal page yesterday saying like, I'm scared that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. And my brain just went into, okay, I got to figure out another solution type of mode. And so here I am. I just decided to do this live in a Zoom room. I wanted to do just one take. I acknowledge that now I did a couple takes because of just I just didn't have the capability to share some of the media that I was sharing in the video, and then realizing at the last minute, like, oh, I might be violating more policies and stuff like that. So here's my attempt of, kind of showing you authentic, real, raw, but committing to the fact that I am doing this show and I'm doing this for you and what I'm hoping to accomplish. Now, in future shows, I am hoping, I'm going to basically just, as soon as I finish this video, I'm going to start planning the next one. But I do want to have people on the show. So if you are watching this and you want to be on the show, or even if I don't even know you and you're stumbling upon this video and you want to have a cheerful conversation, reach out to me and I will get you on the show. And I only will do this, twice a month because it could be a spectacle. But what's interesting is the whole reason that I wanted to do a live show was just so that I wouldn't have to do multiple takes, because I care about time efficiency and I care about being real. And this show probably isn't going to be the best, my shining moment at all, but I'm still committed to bringing you cheer and bringing you happiness and bringing you the real me. So with that said, I wanted to end my show, and I'm totally making this up right now, with a quote. So I'm going to just grab, this stack of inspirational quotes that I keep by my desk and share one last takeaway with you before I see you in a couple weeks. But so this is a quote by Tony Robbins. Oh, you can read it. anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. So yeah, I know that I will be raising my standards from here on out on this show, finding better ways to deliver amazing content to you. And I hope you liked it. Please feel free to share in the comments. Make me like not absolutely hate myself for having this like epic hiccup on my show. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a couple weeks for episode 2 of Cheerful Conversations. See ya.